Okay, hello everybody. This is Kevin Stoner. I'm the COO for commercial cleaning. We're going to get started in just a minute. We'll give people just a minute or two to come on board. So if you're with us, thanks for joining early. Appreciate that. Okay, we've got, looks like full house, lots of people coming in still. We're going to just wait another 30 seconds or so and then we'll get started. Thanks everybody for being so punctual. Okay, I think we're going to go ahead and get started. For those of you that don't know me, good afternoon. My name is Kevin Stoner. I'm the COO for commercial cleaning. I want to thank you, first of all, for joining us for our webinar today, specifically designed around and for our customers regarding reopening and operating safely with an enhanced and disinfection plan. Today's conversation is going to be led by Mike Rosen and Joe Curran. I'm sure most of you know Mike. Mike's been around for a while now. He's our owner and CEO and has been so for 32 years. He has 40 plus years of experience in the cleaning industry. And Joe is from Betco, a regional manager with over 16 years of experience. And he has extensive knowledge in chemical engineering and eco-friendly disinfectants. So today we're going to talk about things that we need to know to open your facility. And I know for some of you, your facility is already open, or maybe it's at a smaller capacity. For some of you that aren't yet open, or for those that are open and maybe want more information about how to do it safely, we're going to talk a lot about that. Not only so that the environment is safe, but so that your employees that are going to be working there in your facility feel safe to come back to work and know that you're doing all that you can do to make sure that they're safe. So Mike's going to talk a lot about the planning and the logistics piece as we talk about reopening, and Joe's going to talk a little bit more about the chemicals and what we're using, how we're applying them, and how we're using them safely with the PPE. So we're also going to, at the end, we're going to go through some of the resources that are available for all of you. So at the end, we'll go through some questions. But first, let's talk about some logistics. I'm sure we've all done lots of Zoom calls at this point. But in case you don't know, if you hover over the bottom part of the screen, you'll get a little box that says Q&A. So what we'd like you to do is, as questions come up, please type them in the Q&A, and then at the end, we'll address those specifically. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Mike. Mike, if you'll take us through the first part of the presentation.
Thank you, Kevin. I'm very, very excited for this client-only event. Very invigorating for me, as those who know me, to be working closely with our clients and collaborating on ways in which we can solve problems together. Just so everyone gets a feel for who all is attending today, I'm going to quickly go over the industries that we have represented at this webinar as attendees. We have education, manufacturing, politics, hospitality, food service, restaurant, professional associations, real estate development, churches, technology, professional services, healthcare, lobbyists, and banks. And what we are covering today and what we will cover today is going to be applicable to all. Any specific concerns, as Kevin mentioned earlier, can certainly be discussed at the Q&A, as well as referencing our resources, as well as our plan to work with everyone here today and clients who are not in putting this plan together. So let's begin with the purpose of why we're here today. We do want to review and discuss best practices on how to open your facility, or if you've been open, how to increase capacity by using enhanced disinfection plan, as well as providing peace of mind. And I certainly will say that they're both equally as important. And we're going to go over that as this webinar continues. What I'd like to do as well is be as interactive as possible. There are many folks represented here today who have been open, and please be willing to share at the end of this webinar any of the ideas that you have that you've employed to enhance your involvement in making your public feel a lot more safe. One of the things we're going to talk about in detail is the definitions of cleaning, disinfecting, and sanitizing. 3 separate functions, 3 separate processes, all important. Critical is going to talk about one must precede the others. We're going to review why we're discussing enhanced disinfection and what it actually is. And in the development of the plan, we're going to prepare everyone for a reopening or increasing capacity, how to provide that safe environment and peace of mind for all that are in your facility, the proper disinfection of varying surfaces, hard, soft, and those that cannot be disinfected, as well as specific disinfectants and proper personal protective equipment which are required to be used in this process. We're also going to review new disinfecting technologies that we are using or we intend to use as time goes on. And I also stress there's good, bad, and ugly, and we'd like to be that resource for you regarding some of the things that are coming out. So let's move on to the cleaning versus disinfecting. Okay, the cleaning process, and I think we're all familiar. Our bodies and our surfaces are virtually treated similarly. When we wash our hands before we sanitize, we have soap, we have water, we agitate, we rinse, we dry. When we clean surfaces in your facilities, we do the same thing, except we substitute detergent for hand soap, and we apply, we scrub, and we rinse sometimes, but we always wipe down. That gets that surface in proper place to accept our disinfectant. Disinfectants can only be are most effective when they are applied on a clean surface. Cleaners do not disinfect, and now we'll go with the disinfectants do not clean. Disinfecting purpose is to kill germs. It's intended to kill, and it can kill a wide variety of germs, and we are looking more so now at pathogens as well as germs, but it's not effective on dirty surfaces. So let's look at disinfecting as a killing and a very, very aggressive killing and destroying process. On the other hand, sanitizing is kind of midway. It will lower the germs on certain objects to a safe level. Our public health officials have established safe levels of germs or others that will stay on the surface. Therefore, sanitizing may or may not remove or kill everything, whereas a disinfectant actually does. And as an example of knowing why this terminology is important, I've seen ads, and I'm sure most of you have also, from airlines that make claims that they're going to clean and sanitize the cabins between flights. And cruise ships are using the same terminology. And my hope is they're getting the words somewhat not interchangeable, but interchanging them. You and I want them to clean and disinfect after each flight. And we want the cruise ships to clean and disinfect with a high frequency. Sanitizing, different process, and in the age of COVID, disinfecting is the key factor. So what is enhanced disinfection mean? What I will say is pre-COVID, when we disinfected, we used a general disinfectant. Yes, it is EPA registered, but it was a general disinfectant. We were looking at gross pathogens without necessarily earmarking a specific one, but they're EPA registered and they were used appropriately. Did we use PPE? Minimally. We used vinyl gloves, perhaps goggles, but none of the other PPE was used pre-COVID. Regarding applying disinfectant, we didn't apply it all that much. It was done usually at the end of a shift, end of a night, one time. And the surfaces that were done were primarily what everyone considered to be areas that would contain more germs: a restroom, perhaps a nurse's office, perhaps a break room. But no one in the industry or none of the clients were looking for disinfecting high touch areas or disinfecting arms of chairs, etc. It was not what we did. And as I said earlier, we usually did it one time a day at the end of shift. The time to perform this normalized cleaning pre-COVID was not material, didn't add material time to a cleaner's responsibilities. And the training was also very, very basic on clean, disinfect, and leave. Make sure disinfectant stays on, don't wipe it off, has to stay wet to work. And that was the program. That was before. So let's look at and understand what we have to do now for an enhanced program. One is we have a target, and our target is COVID-19. There are other targets, but our main target is COVID-19. Very strong pathogen, requires a very, very strong disinfectant that's earmarked for COVID-19. And Joe is going to cover what we use and why we use it. Disinfectants are episodic in that once they're dry, they stop being effective. The area that we've disinfected is clean, disinfected, usually non-transmissible. However, within minutes, if someone touches it and they have something on their hand, it can recontaminate. The protocols for PPE have increased tremendously. We've all seen pictures of technicians with masks and goggles, and some with coats and all types of protective gear. And the reason being that everyone's at greater risk. Our employees are at greater risk. Your staff members and your visitors are at greater risk if we don't enhance our cleaning methods. And upgrading of our disinfection procedures to limit contact or objects, which we'll cover in a little bit more detail, but what that actually means is that by upgrading our disinfection procedure, if we limit the touch areas that people come in contact with and don't have to disinfect as much, that's one less, and that raises the transmittable surfaces to less, and or eliminate certain items such as in childcare, animals with fabrics or toys, whatever. Once eliminated, they're not going to be disinfected, and that's also getting into a cleaner environment. Let's look at the second part of why we need to enhance. Everyone, and I can easily say that everyone is some level of stress regarding COVID. And now that we're in almost phase 2, some of us are in phase 2, we have different states represented today. People are going to be asked to go back to work, even if it's limited. They're going to be stressed. they're going to worry about what they're bringing home to their families. So we need to make sure that they know what we're doing. We need to be transparent in what we're doing, and we need them to feel comfortable in their work environment. The benefit to them is immeasurable, and the benefit to the employee, because we're all in businesses, but the benefit to the employer, of course, is a more focused and highly productive type employee. And budget-wise, I will say it should result in less absenteeism. It shouldn't result in less turnover, so people don't choose to change their place of work because the safeguards are not in place. We must retain the trust of our staff, our clients, our customers, that we are doing everything we can in this new environment. Okay, so moving forward, these are the captions that we're going to cover in our next step of this webinar in creating our plan. One is, let's review the pre-COVID disinfection protocols that you may have in place, and then create ones to be in place. If neither are there, that's part of your plan. Joe is going to review knowing your environment. Has there been incidents? Have there been symptoms in the last 7 days? What do we do? What don't we do? Cleaning and disinfecting products, inventories must be kept. And this is both ways, whether you have an outside contractor doing it or if you're doing it yourself. But you need to know what your inventory is. You need to know what you need to use. And you also have to be prepared, and we've discussed this before, possible shortages as we go on. Now that we're increasing attendance at work, there'll be more use of all these items, including PPE. The frequency of cleaning and disinfecting, these are individual kind of concerns. Some are guidelined by the state, some not. But we do know that they should be elevated and will be elevated to make people feel much more comfortable. Schedules have to be created with times and dates and who is assigned to the role. And this portion, I'm just going to deviate for a moment and say document and document and then document again. We don't know what liability issues may occur in the future, but certainly by having a plan, by having a signed document that the plan is done on a daily basis with oversight, puts us, everyone, and also would make our staffs feel comfortable that it's not only being said, but it is being done. And the other part is the same in putting up signage. Let everyone know what we're doing. Let them know what you're doing. Explain it. And it could be signage on the wall. It could be video, which Kevin will talk about later, how we can use video to assist in informing people. Let everyone know what you're doing. Let them feel comfortable. At this juncture, I'm going to turn over the other part to Joe, who is our Betco representative, who we've been working with for many years. And we started with Betco, by the way, pre-COVID. And now we're using more of their products in this COVID pandemic. Joe?
Thank you, Michael. As Michael said, I'm with Betco. We make and manufacture all the cleaning chemicals and disinfectants. Kind of what I want to talk to you about today is putting a plan together for you to clean in this new environment, this new normal, the new cleaning world we are in. And we've broken it down into two primary cleaning tasks. One would be your precautionary, or in simple, this is your daily cleaning. This is the way we are going to clean the facility on a daily basis. Actions we are going to take just daily, just to clean the facility. The second would be more of a presumptive case where we know an individual has been in the building with a COVID. This comes with the tracing and all the other items we're going to do. There's definitely two different outlines we're going to do and two different steps in either case. In the precautionary stage, just to backtrack, we're going to go in and do this on a daily basis. Presumptive is going to be more of a deep dive. So talking about cleaning and disinfecting in both stages. The precautionary stage, we are going to again daily. We're going to look to make a list of your facility. You can do this through just make a simple checklist. Betco has a resource online with our enhanced facility disinfection program, which is right on betco.com. And you can actually work with commercial cleaning corp. They will create a customized list to your facility so that you know the individual areas or high points of touch is what we're really focused on here. Things that people are touching every day, whether it be a door handle, a chair arm, a hand railing, a countertop, a soap dispenser or a sanitizing dispenser, things that are being touched daily that create germs, and we want to disinfect that as often as possible. So on the precautionary list, you want to make sure you have that. You want to have a list of the products you're going to use as well as the areas you're going to clean. A couple of products that Commercial Cleaning Corp uses are our Betco Green Earth Fight Back Disinfectant Cleaner. This is a ready-to-use product. Our pH7Q Dual Disinfectant and a Betco VersaFect Disinfectant. These are the products currently being used by Commercial Cleaning Corp. In a presumptive case where you know somebody had been in the facility with a COVID case, it's going to be a deeper dive, a larger chemical, a little bit more PPE, which we'll talk about in more detail, and specific different cleaning applications like electrostatic spraying. Again, we'll get into that in more detail. Here, you definitely want to, again, have your list, which is, again, something we could partner up with Commercial Cleaning Corp and help you build for your facility specifically. And then we want to focus and make sure you have a disinfectant that is registered by the EPA to kill COVID-19. We've listed a few here. So here you see a list of the different products Commercial Cleaning Corp uses through from Betco. Highlighted are a couple items up in your upper left-hand corner is a daily disinfectant cleaner, the pH7Q Dual Daily Disinfectant. Again, a concentrated form, 1/2 ounce per gallon, kills COVID in 10 minutes, meaning the surface has to stay wet for 10 minutes. Then they have the regular daily cleaners like your floor cleaner, your glass cleaner. A good thing about this glass cleaner, as you're putting up partitions throughout the facility to maybe protect the employee from the public, as that becomes a more prevalent in our society. This glass cleaner is non-ammonia and will not damage the plexiglass surfaces. On the bottom right, we have our VersaFect, which is a peroxide-based disinfectant cleaner, again in a concentrated form. And then ultimately, on the bottom left, we have our Green Earth RTU disinfectant cleaner. This is a product that is ready to use. You just open it up, unscrew the cap, put on a spray trigger, and start cleaning. And we'll talk about it in more detail. This, again, is a COVID-19 approved disinfectant. So talking about Green Earth disinfectant, it's a ready-to-use product. At the very top of the screen, you'll see where we've pulled where it is approved by the EPA's List N, which is emerging pathogens to kill the human coronavirus. It is a 5-minute contact time, meaning the surface has to stay wet. It has a list of different kill claims on the side for other pathogens that you may be concerned with, but most important to note that any disinfectant you may be using in your facility, if you're looking to kill COVID, has to be on that List N, and that's information that any manufacturer for your Commercial Cleaning Corp can provide that efficacy data for you so that you have the peace of mind of knowing that you're cleaning with a product that is in fact targeting the COVID-19 virus. So how do we clean properly? Well, we're going to focus absolutely on personal protective equipment. That protects the user who's cleaning the facility and the facility from the user. So on the precautionary method, it's a lot less that in detail, but disposable gloves is always a must. We want to protect the surface that you're disinfecting and your skin. We want to make sure that we aren't aren't transferring any germs from the person who's cleaning, and it's first also not from the surface they're cleaning back to the person. Now that everyone is in today's day and age, we're also wearing face masks. And again, that's to prevent droplets from reapplying back onto the surface. Long sleeves, long pants, no short sleeves like I'm wearing today. I know it's on a hot day, but it's better to protect yourself. And goggles and eye protection is not required on the regular daily cleaning, but can be encouraged. However, when you jump down to the presumptive cleaning, it's a whole lot more in depth. We know somebody in the building had COVID. We are going to make sure we take this full steps. I mean, this is a face shield, this is hair caps, shoe coverings, and face masks, the entire bit, because we want to protect the user or the cleaner in this sense. We are going to get into here in a few more details on what products we're going to use, but also how to properly put them on and take them off. So donning is putting on the personal protective equipment. These are guidelines given to us right from the CDC. These are items that you can also download for your facility through our website and our Smart Tools Enhanced Facility Disinfection Program, or you can, in partnership with Commercial Cleaning Corp, we can provide these to you so you can have a link to these items. Not a bad idea to have them posted somewhere where the individual who would be wearing these items would have them, maybe make it like a poster version. But again, so this is in the presumptive. We know a COVID patient has been there. These are all the items that we are going to look to put on, and these are the orders we're going to look to put them on. The last item, obviously, is the gloves you're going to put on. So not the first item you put on, which most people do. They put their gloves on first. We're going to put the gown, the mask, the respirator, the face shield, and then finally the gloves. This is the order that the CDC says is the best way to properly be safe to clean when you know that there's been a COVID case in the facility. So now taking off, this is very important because you've just cleaned the area, you've used the disinfectant that you know is a COVID killer, you've made sure that the contact time of 5 or 10 minutes was applied, so you know that the area you cleaned is safe. Now we want to make sure you take all the personal equipment you use to protect yourself off in a correct manner. So again, this is something maybe as a wall chart. This is crucially important because we want to follow these steps immediately. So the last item we put on was the gloves. Here was going to be the first item we take off. The reason being the most contaminated item is the glove. So if we were going to take off our face mask with the glove still on, now we have it in our hair, on the side of our face. We want to make sure that we take off these in the proper format and then dispose of them in the correct manner. And then the final step always is to wash your hands thoroughly with soap and water. Where soap and water isn't prevalent, using hand sanitizer, a waterless sanitizer. So now, how do we clean and disinfect hard surfaces? So on a hard surface, you can disinfect. You can truly disinfect. Again, I want to harken back to making sure you have the proper contact time to the hard surface, the proper product that has the claims for what you're trying to target. In our case here, we're talking about COVID-19. So making sure it's on the EPA's list then, making sure it stays wet for the proper time, making sure you use it, you saturate the area. We want to either use it with the microfiber cloth for full saturation, making sure we have like I said, this exposure time, and then we want to allow the surface to dry. We want to allow it to have its contact time and remain dry. And of course, always discard everything properly. We don't want any PP equipment hanging out. You're reusing gloves. You're not going to be reusing the gown, especially in a presumptive case. Next slide. Oh, there we go. So we've talked about hard surfaces. Now, what do we do with soft surfaces? Carpets, rugs, a padded chair, for example. That is considered a soft surface. Any type of fabric type material. The CDC says you cannot disinfect a soft surface because it is not. It has pores and areas like that, but you can sanitize. So again, when you go in there to sanitize, if it's a carpet, if it's a rug, a chair, we want to make sure we remove any debris, dirt that we can, and then treat it with our sanitizer. If it's items that can be laundered, we want to launder them at all possible. Very important here to take the proper steps. If you're taking down, let's say, the drapes and the curtains and things to launder, we want to make sure we're wearing long sleeves and gloves when handling those items to place them in the washing machine. Again, protecting yourself. And then we want to make sure we're using an EPA registered sanitizer. Apply it to the surface to be clean, like a chair or a couch or a carpet, and allow it to stay wet for its time of either 5-10 minutes, and allow it to air dry. So typically here, you don't have to worry as much about contact time because soft surfaces seem to stay wet a lot faster, a lot longer than a hard surface does. But it's important just to note the contact time. So that's cleaning and disinfecting, and I want to be able to turn it back over, to where we're going to focus on different areas.
Thank you, Joe. The preceding slide, as everyone can see, and you may recognize some of the folks even with their masks for some of our clients. This very often is our project team, and actually some of it on the right-hand corner is doing an actual slate floor. Also, everything is done the same way with proper protection while we work. So let's look at high-touch areas. First thing is to make a list. And Joe has referred to it. I'm just going to cover it briefly. We all need to make a list of what's high-touch. And we also need to decide what we're going to disinfect, what we're going to clean, and thirdly, what we're going to eliminate. And the elimination portion is good for a variety of reasons. One is it doesn't spread and make transmission a little bit more possible by having more areas where people are touching. It's also good for budget because it's certainly an area that may not have to be cleaned. And we talked earlier about propping. We talked about toys. What can you do to eliminate it? I'm sure we've all been in situations where we go into an entry door and then which is closed, and we go into the lobby door and that's propped open. By doing that, that's one less touch area that we have to be concerned with. And I think that's that kind of thinking. You know, some folks still like to put magazines out on their in their lobbies. Advisable now? Generally, probably not. It's another surface that has to be cleaned. Some of the other suggestions are just generic in terms of online paperwork, virtual meetings, and again, limiting toys, limiting tables, even in the office setting or school settings. You know, or do we have to have this table? I think, you know, we're looking at a new world and we have to look at it with fresh eyes. We have to look at adding onto our list high touch areas that have to be disinfected after contact. And that's the main concern, and that is the concern that we're referring to when we talk about frequency and we talk about daytime cleaning. And the last portion is by limiting access to your building, you're also eliminating the possibility of transmission from the outside. We're going to provide at least 3 to 4 basic examples, and there are some clients that are attendees that we've already spoken with, and they've decided when it comes to conference rooms, they're closing them off. That's one way of limiting, again, another area to be for transmission. However, you may not be able to, you may not want to. Red dots show what areas should be disinfected after each use. And this deck is going to be available to everybody who's attended today. So you'll have this chart, and Kevin, when Kevin refers to resources later, there are other resources similar to this. So this shows that the monitors, the tables, the trash, the door handle, the desk, the chairs, all really need to be done after a meeting. This is a conference room. The next slide is in an individual office. It's similar in content, but you'll notice where the couch is, a little soft area, you're not going to do much on the disinfecting part, because if we look at that, the arms are not wood. If they were wood, that might be something we would have to do. But in general, you wouldn't really be involved. The next slide is also going to show restroom, which is common for all of us. This is kind of more of a mandatory than it is an optional, frankly. And you have multiple people dealing with the restroom on a day-to-day basis. And those high-touch areas are very, very susceptible. And our recommendation in general is going to be, if you notice there are dispensers on the wall, there's not a red dot. Well, the reason it's not a red dot, this slide makes the assumption that they're electronic. They operate by themselves. In theory, they shouldn't be touched. They could be disinfected. I'm not saying they shouldn't be, but it's showing that that is also, and that's something that you may want to look at. One less touch area, one less transmissible issue by having automatic. And the last was, again, a break room. And same idea, common sense. There are companies that are shutting down break room, maybe until capacity increases. These are individual choices. But if you do have a break room open, then it's going to be very, very important for your staff feeling comfortable going in there to have this disinfected throughout the day or after each use. The frequency. Each individual company is going to assess what you need and the frequency in which to do it. Some are going to be the same, but we have industries that are the same. Some, like with schools, with kids, with other types of different occupants, it's going to change it a little bit as well. There are guidelines by the state that tell us what to do, but again, a lot of it is our job. When I say our, I mean for our offices as well. Our job is to lower the transmittability of COVID, which means that in groupings where people exist in the building, the higher frequency during the day should translate into a lower transmission rate. And we're not talking about just days, we're talking about multiple times during the day. The right tools and techniques, this is generally could be hassle-free, but I will add this, again, we're all business people. Yes, there are budgetary concerns that we should be looking at. And our next slide is also going to kind of touch upon it, but give us more ideas. Okay, the old school. We vacuum carpets 5 times a week. Maybe clients would want to vacuum carpets 2 times a week. It's possible. There's value in 5 times a week. It was done for a purpose, but is it one of the things that we could modify? The answer, I think, is yes. We can save some time and put that toward disinfecting. And which lessen the impact on budget. Budget gets increased when we talk about restrooms. They should be more often. Door handles should be more often. Desktops, generally 5 times a week. Well, that could be dropped too. You know, whatever function we drop could be added to a disinfecting process, which will again mitigate some of the increases that may be turn up in terms of this. And this slide is an example of the type of thinking that we have to do. Where it's going to affect budget most is probably where its greatest impact is going to be is visual disinfecting in your buildings, because you're an occupants. What they see is what they're going to believe. Quickly, create a list of what we're going to clean, assign the staff, frequency, make sure there's a calendar and a schedule, and either hire a porter, which we could do, or certainly self-perform. Either option obviously is available to you, and we will work with you on either of those options, whichever one you so choose, so that you can have impact and feel comfortable, and again, provide that peace of mind for you and provide that peace of mind for your staff. New disinfecting technologies. You'll see on the right, it talks about electrostatic spray. For many of our clients that are here today are very familiar. We've been electrostatic spraying for the past 20 years, and we've done that with a lot of clients in the last pre-COVID. We find it's the most effective way to deliver the disinfectant thoroughly and efficiently in a facility. It covers everything. I won't go over the dynamics of it. We certainly can provide information of how it works, but it is a full coverage. There's nothing in your room that will not be covered if we use electrostatic sprays. So it's a comfort level. We're all familiar with UVC technology. They use it in hospitals. We use it now also in a portable format to be used on keyboards, to be used on cell phones. Very, very effective in disinfecting those items that are technological and electronic. There are antimicrobial residual products that we are exploring. There are some in the marketplace. I'm sure you've seen door handles with film on it, or you've seen maybe elevators with film over the buttons. These are the antimicrobials. We have to be a little careful. This is where we have to look the emerging technologies on this. Some of the statements I've seen cannot be, are not accurate and not scientific based. Others are. So there is good stuff, but we have to be careful. And as far as robots, we started with robots well over a year ago in our general cleaning process. And there are robots available today, which we're also exploring, that can be used to provide UVC lighting, as well as spraying, electrostatic spraying, so that we can actually map a robot to leave a janitor's closet at 11 p.m. at night when no one's in the building, and then rotate through the various offices and rooms that exist. And then by 5 in the morning, it'll go back into the janitor's closet, reconnect and recharge for the next day. And there is no one in the building while this occurs. So I'd like to turn over the remainder of the webinar to Kevin, who will discuss next steps and some exciting new ideas we'd love to share. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Mike. Thanks, Joe. Really appreciate the information. Before we get to questions, and I'd just like to remind everyone, if you have questions, remember, if you'll just type them in the Q&A at the bottom of your screen. We'll get to those in just a moment. But as a partner of Commercial Cleaning Corporation, you have a lot of resources available to you. We're going to talk about a lot of those resources. And one of them I wanted to share with you, what one of our partners is doing right now. They produced a video in conjunction with us. And Ashley, if you could, let's run the video real quick, and you can just kind of see what's possible here.
Hi, I'm Pete Borowski, President at Star, and on behalf of the whole team here, I wanted to let you know that we've been hard at work to ensure that when you're ready to travel with us, your experience will be a safe, clean, and pleasurable one. Over the past few months, we've looked at every part of your experience and are confident that with the new procedures and policies we have in place, you'll be sitting back, relaxing, and enjoying your trip on one of our wonderful coaches just like you did in the past. So tune in, take a quick look at some of the new beneficial changes we're making, and as always, thank you for traveling with Star.
So you can imagine for Star, a big part of what they're doing is making people feel comfortable, whether that's their customers or their employees. It's really important that they have the ability to show again to be inside their buses. And we can imagine with your organization, whether that's a school or a medical practice or any other office environment, you're going to want to make sure that people feel safe and know the things that you're doing. So just as a reminder, you have a lot of resources, and I wanted to just kind of go through a couple of those. Number one, you're going to get a copy of this presentation. We're going to send it to all of our customers so that you actually have that. You always have our website, and because, of course, things change so quickly, we're trying to keep things there, regularly updated and giving you links to the CDC, the World Health Organization, our partner Betco, of course. You'll see lots of things like that. So we also provide to you, we've got a spot on our website where we're providing you resources, things like we talked about before, like checklists, best practices, hand washing, reminding people to keep socially distant. Those kind of things are available to you from our website, and you can get at any point. Of course, we have our area managers and our account managers that are out in the field to speak with you about what specifically needs to be done with regards to your plan and what you need to do within your organization. These guys are out there regularly and anxious to help you devise a plan and understand the things that you're doing now and how maybe they need to shift as we move into the future and as you ramp up the folks that are going to be within your locations. And again, to Mike's point earlier, with a heavier focus on disinfecting and what things do we do away with to stay within budget, or what things do we need to add to make sure that we're compliant with the local laws or the law within your industry. Along with that, we have supplies. Recently, we sent out a note to all of our partners, our customers, that basically said, hey, we've got supplies that are available. In particular, things that at the time at least were hard to get: toilet paper, hand sanitizer, disinfectant wipes, chemicals, masks. All of these things are available. And we've talked about, even if you'd like, if your employees are having trouble getting those things as well, we'd love to be able to sell those to them as well. Basically, just so that you have the opportunity to get them. We know that some of these things have been very, very difficult. So in general, if you need these kind of things, please reach out directly to us or to your area manager, and we'd be happy to help you with that. Okay, so with that, now we'd like to get to a couple of questions. Let me just take the first one here. So Mike and Joe, I'll ask you to answer. Is there a specific disinfectant that is designed for killing SARS-CoV-19?
Joe, why don't you handle that first, please?
Sure. That's where, yes, there are specific products that are made. We've kind of highlighted them in that Green Earth Fight Back, the Betco product, and the pH7Q Dual Daily Disinfectant Cleaner. Those are two items that are listed on the EPA's List N. That is what a list the EPA created when COVID-19 pandemic started. It's easily find. You can easily find that information through the EPA's website. Knowing each individual disinfectant has an EPA registration number. You can look it up that way. Or probably the easiest way is contacting Commercial Cleaning Corp and your area manager or the manufacturer of the chemical that you may be using, and we can provide that information for you. Any chemical manufacturer can easily provide that information, as well as wherever you're purchasing it from.
Okay. While I wait for a couple more questions, maybe I could open a poll. Ashley is running the computer in the background. Ashley, if you could put up the first poll. The question is, when do you plan to reopen your facility if it's not open already? I'll give you just a couple of minutes just to select your answer.
And if I may just add something back to
Sure.
that question, it is very important that you're using a product that's targeting your end goal. And here we're talking about COVID-19. It's very important you have the right tool that is killing what you're identifying as the problem. So the information is is key. The knowledge is power, as they used to say. And again, that's simple information that can be provided by a chemical manufacturer, your cleaning contractor. In this way, Commercial Cleaning Corp will have all that information for you, so that you can have that peace of mind to know that you're truly cleaning, disinfecting, and targeting COVID-19 and eliminating it.
And for those who do want to get even more specific, the manufacturers provide what they'll call an efficacy chart, and it'll list the actual pathogen or bacteria, and if that particular disinfectant is effective, and if so, how long it needs to dwell for it to be effective. So all that is generally available, and will substantiate your choices of what product to use, especially at these times. It needs to say the SARS, and it needs to be COVID-19 for today, primarily for today's issues.
Yeah. Ashley, if you close the poll, and let's just look real quick. So yeah, a lot of us are not sure, and a lot of us think it's going to be at least 30 plus days, which
Okay.
gives us some time to work on the plans, which is great. And obviously some are open now, or will be opening very soon. Okay. So the question was asked, do you offer a version of electrostatic disinfecting that can be applied nightly?
We do. We have some of our clients are doing that today as we speak. And if you're a current client and we're cleaning nightly, then it's a matter of adding the disinfectant once we've completed the cleaning process. If we're not cleaning that often, we'll go back to our recommendation that whether us or someone else should clean the surfaces that we're going to disinfect using electrostatic spraying, because to spray disinfectant over dirt, and underneath that dirt or those colonies is some sort of strain of COVID, you're not going to reach the COVID. It's just not going to penetrate. Once it penetrates that dirt, I would think, Joe, it would become not effective anymore. It's done its job. It's killed what it first saw, and it's not going to dig deep down. You're going to use it up. So it has to be clean. So the answer in kind of both ways is yes, we can.
Okay. There's another question that's similar, but what are the guidelines for how often we need to disinfect during operating hours? Like, for instance, in an 8-hour day?
Part of that, and Joe could add to this too, part of that's going to depend, I think, on the actual occupancy of an office. The more people, I'm going to suggest, is more often, because there's more points of transmission. Two, how many specific targets do we have to do? And if the targets are many, then it could be many hours during the day. If the targets are few, I mean, if we go to Hoyle, so to speak, you know, how often should we be disinfecting a restroom inside an office facility? So it can't be after each use. That's not going to be probable. And I think we all have to make decisions. Should it be every hour, every 2 hours, every 3 hours, every 4 hours during the day? The higher the frequency, the better the result is the best I could say. But these are budgetary concerns as well as prevention concerns.
Okay. Here's another one. If we cannot increase our budget, but need to increase our disinfection efforts, can you help us create our own internal disinfection plan to supplement what you're already doing?
Yes, we can. Again, we'd have to trade off what some of the things we're doing now and either not do them or do them less frequency. And with the time that we get or added back, we could add in the disinfecting. Now, whether that should moderate any type of increase. the difference here too, and I think we all have to face it, is that disinfectants are more costly than other materials. So we run into some issues, but we certainly could lower the cost. I think there's definitely something to lower the cost. Yes.
Okay. Joe, I think this one's going to be for you. Where can I find MSDS sheets on the recommended products?
All the sheets are available through our website, betco.com. You'd look for the SDS sheets. Sorry that they dropped the M
Yeah,
years
exactly.
back. So if you're looking for it, it would get confusing because it'll say it's the SDS sheet. Our website is really easy to navigate. You go right on to betco.com. If you know the name of the product you're using, you can type it in the toolbar up front, and it'll pull up all the information on there. And there's a hyperlink right there where it'll download it right as a PDF. If anyone has any issues, obviously I can always be a resource to help.
And what I'd like to add to that is our folks in the field clearly will have SDS sheets at their locations as well. So those should be provided to you. You can either ask your cleaner or your area manager, and they'll provide those for you as well.
And I also wanted to add one thing, because I know one of the members of the audience, at least one, have a LEED, L-E-E-D building that they own and operate. And the green product that Betco just put out would fall a little bit more toward that LEED than the normal highly toxic chemical. It has a design for environment certification, which should be acceptable for LEED certification as well. Correct, Joe?
Yes, and I apologize. I should have mentioned that on the slide. It has a design for environment. It's as close as you're going to be to a green chemical and still kill germs and pathogens. And it is a COVID rated product for 5-minute contact time, and it's ready to use. So it's relatively a simple thing you can have in the facility if you are doing your own spot cleaning and disinfecting throughout the day.
Okay. I've got 2 more questions, and we've got about 2 minutes, so we're going to try and keep it quick. Number one is, do we need to wipe down surfaces after we use the Betco RTU product before kids eat on those surfaces?
No, it's a food safe sanitizer. It's 60 seconds, and it is a true rinse-free formula. So you should just spray it, wipe it, let it dry. Obviously, don't let the kids touch it until it's dry, but you can. It is a food safe sanitizer.
Okay, and let it dry being the key point there. Yes, thank you. And then one more. How much time does the electrostatic procedure need to dry?
Well, the electrostatic procedure is going to be coordinated with the wet time of the disinfectant that we use. So if we use a 5-minute kill time for a disinfectant, then we change the opening of the electrostatic machine to allow for a larger spray so it stays wet longer. If it's a 10-minute dry, then we really open the valve so that we could spray, again, a little heavier dose so it remains wet for a longer period of time. So it is absolutely correlated to how long it takes to be wet in order to be effective.
Okay, great. Well, that's our time today. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Joe. Thanks, Ashley in the background. Thank you, everybody, for attending. If you have more questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us or any one of our employees. We were happy to help. Thank you so much for your time. We look forward to seeing you on another webinar. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.